So, as we've seen, the medical use of amphetamines today is restricted to the treatment of a small number of conditions, which is going to include narcolepsy and ADHD. And by far, the more common use of amphetamines in the 21st century is as a recreational or a performance enhancing drug. So, amphetamines have been used in these ways for almost as long as they've been around for medical purposes. A lot of young people start to take amphetamines because they hear about the apparent confidence boost or the extra energy that the drugs provide. They also hear that amphetamines can help them stay awake and keep dancing all night. So, for teenagers who want to explore that world of all night parties and clubs and dance events, the idea of such a boost in a pill form can seem very attractive. But what they don't hear about is that downside, that inevitably is going to follow that amphetamine high. The extra energy is not really extra. In fact, it's borrowed from the body's energy reserves. And as soon as the effects of that drug start to wear off, the user is going to start to feel tired and lethargic and possibly depressed. So, in long term users, the side effects can be much more serious, and it's going to include irritability, anxiety, paranoia, psychological disturbances. And then girls, they're often attracted to the idea that amphetamines are going to help them to lose weight. And while this might work initially, eventually it's going to wear off and the appetite is going to return and the people are going to go back to their usual levels of activity. So, in fact, people may even be less active than before, especially if they're feeling tired and run down. And that happens after amphetamine use. So, amphetamine abuse is not uncommon among fashion models. This includes males as well as females who take those drugs so that they can achieve that false, super thin look that so many magazines are looking for. And a lot of people in the fashion industry become addicted to amphetamines as a result. And other reasons why amphetamines are still fairly popular are their cost and their availability. So, at roughly $30 per gram, amphetamines are considerably cheaper than other stimulant drugs like cocaine. Also, because they're usually made in the country in which they are used, they're much easier to obtain than cocaine, which is smuggled in from other countries. So, for this reason, some cocaine users turn to amphetamines as a cheaper, more easily accessible substitute. And there's no harm in staying up late sometimes if you keep yourself healthy. So, if you're fit and you're healthy, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to stay up late and dance all night. Well, most of it, once in a while. Keep yourself in peak condition with a little bit of attention to your diet and your lifestyle. Make sure you get enough sleep. The amount each person needs is going to vary, but for adults, it's usually 8 or 9 hours per night. Growing teenagers need more. Regular exercise, preferably daily. Activities like swimming and bicycling and walking are going to help energize you and keep your heart and your lungs working efficiently. And if you're not used to exercise, start slowly since it might make you feel tired at first. And then you're soon going to feel the benefits. And then with food, you need to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, especially those that you can eat raw, like salads. Many people say that a lot of raw foods give that feeling of vitality. So whole grain bread, rice, and pasta, those are good for long lasting energy. And then with water, we need to drink 6 to 8 glasses a day. So our bodies are going to be made up of almost 2/3 of water. And water has a lot of different functions in our body. It regulates our body temperature to protecting and cushioning the organs and joints. If we don't have enough water in our bodies, we become dehydrated, and this can make us feel weary. Most of us are dehydrated most of the time because we don't drink enough water to replace what's normally lost each day. And so when we sweat or when we urinate, it's lost. So cutting down on soda or anything with caffeine, the boost that we get from caffeine, which is also a stimulant, is temporary. It makes us feel worse when it wears off. And caffeine is also a diuretic, which means it causes more urine to be produced, also contributing to the dehydration. And you might be aware of amphetamines like Ritalin changing hands in the school playground. It's important to think about what you would do if you saw this happening. So even if a little warning voice in your head is telling you to beware, it can be really hard to be the odd one out if all your friends are taking amphetamines and they're egging you on to do the same. So this is what we call peer pressure. And a lot of adults now say that this was the main reason why they did it in the first place. That they really didn't even want to, like smoking or stealing or taking drugs or having sex before they were ready. They may be offered amphetamines while they're out with their friends, or they might be offered amphetamines by their friends. They may even be offered them while they're at school. One of the most common drugs offered on the school playground at the moment is Ritalin, which is used legitimately to treat ADHD, but which is now frequently abused by the young people who have easy access to it. And pressure from friends, classmates, or people that you hang out with can be really difficult to resist. Sometimes it's not that they actually say you should be doing something, it's just that they make you feel that you're weird if you don't. And if this happens, it's probably best to just leave the situation if you can. Alternatively, relax, try to enjoy yourself despite the way that you're feeling. And when someone does eventually suggest that you try amphetamines or cigarettes or shoplifting or whatever it is that they're doing, don't make excuses like I can't because I have to go home, or I can't today, but maybe next time. Because if you do this, then they're just going to keep pushing you. So say firmly, thanks, but it's really not my thing. They might laugh at first or try to intimidate you, but if you stick to your guns, they may soon realize that you're stronger willed than they are, and you may even make them feel foolish. This is what I teach to my clients. I have them do a practice session of practicing in dyads with another group member to practice saying no without making excuses. Just say, no thanks, without the excuse or the reason behind it. And then I have the other person rebuttaling everything that they say to put that pressure on them and teach the client how to really say no and mean it. Some people, they use it because they think that it's going to help them to study harder. If they stay awake all night, they think, then surely they're going to absorb more information and they're going to do better on their exams. Similarly, workers with night shifts sometimes use amphetamines in order to work more efficiently during the night. So they don't feel as sleepy. And then there are certain types of jobs in which amphetamine use is a little bit more common. These people need to stay awake, which often leads to this is like long distance truck drivers. It's leading them to take the drug. They need to work quickly and intensely for long periods, which means there's heavy use of amphetamines in the catering industry. And these drug users tend to resort to amphetamines when other people might just have a cup of coffee. Hotel and restaurant chefs, kitchen staff, and waiters. These are some examples of the workers who need to stay awake and alert and full of energy at times when it's more usual to relax and feel sleepy. So D, at age 18, said, I should be in college by now, but I'm still in high school. I've always loved the sciences and I want to study marine biology. I'm fascinated by underwater life, and the college classes for it are great. You get taken on field trips and they even teach you to dive. I was offered a place at my first choice college and I was feeling great. I was a little stressed at the final exams. Everybody was. Then this guy in my class said he's got some pills, uppers, he called them. And he said they would give me an edge because I'd be able to stay awake for a long time and get a lot of studying done. Well, I can't remember how many I took, but I was buzzing for 2 nights. And then on the third, I went to bed but couldn't sleep. The next day, I was wiped out like I had the flu or something. I took the exam, but I did horribly. I missed the next exam, and I just couldn't get out of bed. And the last one, well, I don't even want to talk about it. So here I am, back in high school, when I should be having the time of my life at college. I can't believe I was so stupid. So for our clients who do have exams coming up and they need to spend a lot of time studying, here are a few tips that we can give these clients. Eat little and often. So big meals make you sluggish. So opt for a snack every 3 hours or so to keep your energy up. Avoid sugary snacks. The energy boost they give is temporary, so you're going to feel a little extra tired as it wears off. Exercise regularly. Even a 10-minute walk twice a day will help. Take a 5-minute study break every hour. Sitting hunched over your books or computer for a long period is going to give you a backache and eye strain, as well as making you feel tired. So make sure you get enough sleep. If you're tired, you can't function efficiently. And some people find that certain smells act as natural stimulants. So try using some drops of rosemary or basil oil or peppermint in an oil burner in the room where you're working. But if they're younger students, make sure that they check with their parents first before they start burning things in an oil burner. So amphetamines have also been widely used among athletes. They cause an increase in the heart rate, which means that blood is pumped around the body more quickly, providing that temporary increase in energy and stamina. These days, regular drug testing is carried out at sporting events to avoid the problem of doping, which is taking drugs to enhance performance. And many hopefuls are disqualified after failing these tests. In the past, various drugs have resulted in or contributed to the deaths of some athletes. So at the 1960 Rome Olympics, we have German cyclist Kurt Jensen on the left here, who collapsed due to a heat stroke and then subsequently died. An autopsy revealed that he had taken amphetamines shortly beforehand. And then on the right, we have British cyclist Tommy Simpson, who took amphetamines to aid his performance in the 1967 Tour de France. And then reports suggest that his death during the race, which was watched by a horrified television audience, was due to heart failure resulting from a combination of amphetamine use and the intense heat of the day. Increasingly, sports organizations check urine samples from athletes to check that they have not cheated by taking drugs to improve their performance. In the 21st century, we're all under pressure to work, study, and play harder than ever before. We're so used to around-the-clock television, all-night clubs and bars and supermarkets that are open all night. Clubbers talk about going out on a Friday night and not returning home until Sunday. There's frequent newspaper reports of people just burning out in the workplace because they're working long hours with no vacations. Even children in grade school are suffering from stress because they feel that they're being pressured to perform well on tests. My son just told me that today, that he felt pressured from the milestone tests that they're having to take. The trouble is that if people want to slow down, they might feel that the world is moving so quickly that it's going to move on without them, and they're going to be somehow left behind. And it's perhaps this non-stop culture, the 24/7 way of life, that's going to contribute to the popularity of stimulant drugs like amphetamines. People are so worried about not being able to maintain the same levels of work or partying as their colleagues and friends that instead of naturally slowing down and just taking a break when they need it, they take amphetamines to help keep them up. Modern life, especially in towns and cities, is nonstop and open all hours. This is what's going to make it difficult for people to find that relaxation.